Iraq invades Kuwait on this date. Welcome back to On This Day. Today's date is August 2nd, 2023. It is the 214th day of the year. There are 151 days left. It is the 31st Wednesday in the 31st week and the 43rd day of summer. You got 52 days left until fall. Today is National Coloring Book Day. I love National Coloring Book Day. Even as an adult, it's very relaxing. When I used to work at Netflix and then later on at Comcast, a lot of the girls, a lot of guys would sit at their desks while they're talking to customers and color. Well, I mean, they'd stop coloring when they got a call, but in between calls, they'd color. It was kind of interesting. Nice books too. They weren't using crayons. They were normally using pencils. But National Coloring Book Day suggests that you get your crayons out and celebrate this day. This special day was created to commemorate the invention of the modern day coloring book in 1879. All right. Let's see what else August 2nd has given us. 1610, during Henry Hudson's search for the Northwest Passage, he sails into what is now known as Hudson's Bay. 1776, the signing of the United States Declaration of Independence takes place. 1790, the first United States Census is conducted. 1873, the Clay Street Hill Railroad begins operation, the first cable car in San Francisco's famous cable car system. So I've been on this a few times, and oddly enough, people actually use it as a commute, like a way to get around town. It's not just a tourist attraction. The Clay Street Hill Railroad was the first successful cable-hauled street railway. It was located on Clay Street in San Francisco. Now, obviously, there's other cable cars in San Francisco. It is a big tourist thing, but like I'd said, a lot of the locals use it to get up and down the hills. I had a friend that was going to college out there when I was in the Army. He got out a couple years earlier. We went up to visit him, and we went drinking, and then he's all, let's grab the cable car up to the apartment. We're like, with all the tourists? He goes, not just tourists ride this thing. I was like, oh, I just always thought it was a tourist thing that you had to do, and nobody else went on it. Now, this thing was started by two men, Andrew Smith Halliday, and William Epplesheimer. Their names are kind of hard to pronounce. I'm just going to go with Andrew and William. Anyway, accounts differ as to exactly how much Andrew was involved in the inception of the Clay Street Hill Railway. Some say Andrew was just like a promoter and, he was just there as a guy to get this thing done, get the local government and the people all hyped up. People say he just knew how to get money and therefore was able to get the capital to build this railway. They say that's all he was a guy that got the money. Others say that it was his idea because he had seen how the horses suffered dragging streetcars up the hill. There's also doubt as to when it started. Some say it was August 1st, 1873. Others say it happened on the 2nd, and there was a little bit of a to-do because it was promised on the 1st, and the city was going to withhold money from him because they were late one day. The reality is it didn't start regular service till September 1st, 1873. Now, it's said one of the biggest problems was the grip man or engineer, the guy running the streetcar that they had hired, wouldn't take it down the hill. He didn't trust it, and he wasn't going to do it. So Andrew, the spokesman, had to take the reins, and he did a pretty good job. I mean, nobody died. The Clay Street Hill Railroad ran independently, and it was very successful until 1888 when it was sold to the Ferries and Cliff House Railroad. And it ran till it was demolished on February 15th, 1942. Today, only 3 cable car lines remain in San Francisco, but they can take you to some of the city's most popular neighborhoods. Obviously, the most popular ones. I mean, no one gets all excited to jump on a rail car down to the Tenderloin. 1923, Vice President Calvin Coolidge becomes U.S. President upon the death of President Warren G. Harding. 1990, Iraq invades Kuwait, eventually leading to the Gulf War. I sort of never understood why Kuwait wasn't more heavily armed. They have Iraq right next door that had been fighting with Iran for a decade or so. Iraq was definitely not the most stable country, a complete nut job for a dictator. And Kuwait had a military that was really just a small security force. Currently, Kuwait has about 72,000 active military personnel, with about 24,000 that can be called up as reservists. They also claim they have 1.6 million ready to go at a moment's notice. These are usually age 15 to 80. Back in 1990, their military force was closer to 30,000 in total. I forget how the saying goes, but it's something to the effect of when you have wolves living behind your house, you build a fence, you don't put up a sign. Movies released On August 2nd, 2001, The Others. This was a pretty good movie. I'm not a big scary movie fan, but this one had a nice little twist at the end, and it was pretty weird. It starred Nicole Kidman and a bunch of other people I don't know who they are. Born on August 2nd, 1970, Kevin Smith, director and producer of iconic slacker hits like Clerks, Mallrats, Chasing Amy, Dogma, Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. He also did this one called Red State, which was really weird. He did Jersey Girl. I like Jersey Girl. Everyone said Jersey Girl was horrible. It had Ben Affleck, George Carlin, a few other people in there. It was a great movie. Everyone hated it, not me. But he's an interesting guy, and I'm sure we've talked about him before. But basically, his first movie was Clerks. He got the okay to film Clerks at this little mini mall near his home in New Jersey after hours. So there was a mini mall, and there was a video store next door, and they basically wrote the script around that. Two guys working there, and the people that come in and go of these two establishments. And that made him a Hollywood director. For a movie that was made for next to nothing, borrowed equipment, borrowed sets, actors who did it for free, it's a pretty good movie. Died on August 2nd, 1998, Shari Lewis. Children's puppeteer and cheerful TV personality whose characters Lamb Chop and Charlie Horse became popular in the 1960s and the 1990s. She had a little bit of a resurgence right before her death. She was like a circus performer. She was trained in acrobatics, juggling, ventriloquism, baton twirling, piano, violin, and ice skating. Shari Lewis was treated for breast cancer in 1984. In June of 1998, she was diagnosed with uterine cancer. She had a hysterectomy, but the doctors informed her that the cancer was inoperable and they gave her 6 weeks to live. After her diagnosis, Lewis insisted on taping the final episode of Charlie Horse's Music Pizza, which was a show she had going on. She was going through chemotherapy treatment, but during treatment she had gotten pneumonia and died on the evening of August 2nd, 1998. She was 65 years old. All right, that's today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you got some information out of it. Now go out, have a great day, and be nice to each other.